Make sure you join our Crypto Gamers and Collectors Facebook group for more information and discussions on crypto collectibles.
What's going on, guys? It is Maddie from DCLblogger.com once again. In this video, I have been very excited to finally see the release of land estates, guys. Land estates. So, what are land estates? A lot of the people that have been waiting for them, they're basically a way of transferring or selling your land um, in multiples. So, in bulk lots of, say, 10 to 20 connected pieces or parcels, as opposed to just singular pieces. Now, I'm making this video to kind of give my opinion on how this is likely going to affect the marketplace. I mean, land estates are really new. It literally came out yesterday. So, um, like, there's just a lot of data yet to be collected to see how it's going to be affecting the marketplace. But this is just my opinion based on my experience of land sales in general. First of all, I'm going to go through just the whole, like, what it looks like. So basically, this is a blog post that was released by Decentraland just not that long ago. What it is what it looks like, or rather, is you can see there's already a few listed estates that have been listed. There's this one here, and that's what it looks like. It's like a big block of gray as opposed to singular units. They're hard to see just because they're not um, I would prefer them be a different color so they're easier to see. But for example, there's another little estate over here. You can see there's two parcels right there. If I click on it, you'll notice that there's two parcels included. Now, what this actually does, and they mention it in the blog post, is when you create an estate, meaning you merge four kind of parcels into the one, you're actually creating another token. It's transferring it into another non-fungible token, going from what they've told us in the estate, in the blog post, right? So what they've said is when you create a new estate, you are effectively transferring your parcels to a new token. These estates are represented by ERC721 tokens, which are NFTs. Like any other NFT, this means that you will no longer see the individual parcels under My Land, and they will not appear in MetaMask, Mist, Trezor, or Ledger wallets, nor on Etherscan under your address. So it seems that the estate tokens are not going to really appear in our wallets. And when you click on My Land, and you're not going to see the individual parcels anymore. I think you're just going to see it as a whole estate. Another thing that they've done is the maximum estates that you can do in one transaction, or the maximum parcels that you can make or you can combine, is 12. Combine 12 parcels, because any bigger than that, I think it affects the gas fees or something. That's the kind of warning that they've given us. So let's try and make an estate just to show you guys what I'm talking about. Oops, my land. It's really interesting thinking about how this is going to affect the marketplace, because there's a couple of things that have been brought up in discussion. Firstly, is that it's going to remove a lot of supply from the marketplace, right? Because these people that are selling, say, 20 to 30 blocks at one time, it's going to remove those 20 to 30 little parcels that they would have originally listed on the marketplace. So that's going to be removed from the marketplace. So a lot of competition for smaller parcels is going to be removed, which is really good. I like, for example, one thing that I consistently look for is how what's the cheapest parcel that is currently selling, and that gives me an indication as to, for example, if the cheapest parcel is 6,000 mana, and 3 days later I see that the cheapest parcel is 6,500 mana, then obviously Decentraland is getting more and more popular. If the cheaper parcel is, like, say, 5,500 mana, then people are starting to dump their land, and the next few days it's like 5,000 mana. Then that's usually a result of, like, the mana token rising too much or decreasing too much, because sometimes people get scared and want to cash out. Like, Decentraland might be in a bit of trouble, or all kinds of reasons. But yeah, it's interesting to note that a lot of that bottom prices should be taken out, because now, instead of people just dumping like 50, individual parcels, they'll just be like trying to sell the whole bulk lot, ideally. So let's try and make an estate, guys. I've got a really big set of land in the north side of Decentraland. It's in a really good location, actually. Like, there's a lot of districts surrounded by it. It's right in the top corner, right on the top edge. Basically, what you do is you click Create Estate, and then you select the parcels that you want to make your estate. So that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. And you can see like once I've selected 12 parcels, it gives me this. If you add or remove more than 12 parcels in a single transaction, it may run out of gas. You can submit this transaction and then add or remove more parcels in a subsequent transaction by editing the estate. So what they want you to do is, if you have an estate that's bigger than 12 parcels, I believe what they want you to do is submit this as an estate and then go back to that estate, edit it, and then add the rest of the 9. So then in total, you'll have 21 effectively. Okay, it's a bit of a longer way to do it, but I mean, it's smart contracts, guys. You know, there's a lot to be figured out with this. Oh, that's a really cool estate. What am I that one selling for? Um. Anyway, so how is this going to affect the marketplace, guys? Firstly, I think that it's going to affect, especially once they allow for sales, or the right now all they've done is enable the feature of creating an estate and transferring that estate. But once they actually allow for it to be listed on the marketplace and for people, for new investors to see this, so you can list a price for it and they can see that this estate is selling for, X amount of mana, I think it definitely is going to affect the marketplace. I feel like a lot of new investors, it's a lot more attractive for new investors if they can get 2, 3, 4 parcels of land combined as opposed to, say, a singular parcel. And we, as the regional investors, know that parcels have sold anywhere between 4,000 mana at the very lowest, all the way up to like 10 to 20,000 mana for, like, I'm talking about parcels that are not connected to anything crazy. But like new investors might not see that. They might see like big parcels and small parcels. Big parcels meaning estates, and small singular parcels. So I can just see it being way more attractive to buy bulk estates. And at the same time, there's not as many large estates as there is singular parcels. So the competition when selling larger estates is going to be a lot less. And only time will tell. Obviously, people are still adjusting to the feature. It's only been day 1 or day 2, so people are still adjusting to features. They still have to list their estates. A lot of people haven't done that yet. So I think even if there's, say, like, whatever, 100 estates or something, your parcel, your estate's going to be very unique because there's estates with different sizes in different locations, different dimensions, different build heights. So depending on if investors come in and they want to get a great location, then previous to estates, that great location was usually just an individual parcel located in a really good place, right? So one connected to Genesis Plaza selling for like 400, 500,000 mana. But now there's going to be an option. They're going to have the ability to choose from individual single parcels that are connected to Genesis plazas, or whole estates that might be selling for 500,000 mana. Like, what are you going to go for? Something that you can build 100 meters on, or something you can just build like 25 meters on, single parcels, 10 by 10 meters, or like 50, 100 by 30, 100 by 40 meters. It's just, I think it's gonna I think it definitely is going to bring some singular parcel prices down. Okay. But at the same time, it might bring the whole estate features up. I'm not sure. Like, there's just so much data that needs to be collected. But yeah, singular parcels, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how they're affected. Especially the one thing you got to keep in mind is there's not going to be that many estates. It's like relative to singular parcels. There's like 30, 35,000 singular parcels, whereas there's like there might be like 100, 200, 300 estates max at any given time. But I think it's going to bump up the prices at the bottom of the marketplace for singular parcels, just because people are now going to be combining all the parcels into estates and selling them, as opposed to, like, listing them individually. And I want that. I want there to be a lot less singular parcels for sale because there's a less choice. I think too much choice kind of confuses people. Too many options, a different price range, different locations. Like, you just don't know where the hell to invest in, right? There's so much to learn before you jump in, but having less options gives you a bit more focus, and people will be ready to jump in a bit better. I think a lot of people, what they're going to be doing is pricing their estates freaking high, because a lot of people are expecting estates to be worth more or more valuable because there's more parcels of land in it. So it'll bump up the price of each individual land. For example, if there's like, you know, what's this one? There's like 8, 9, 10. So there's 10 parcels here. If this guy was originally selling each parcel for say 10,000 mana, then he may be like, oh well, now it's an estate. So instead of selling them 10 for 10, 10 for 10,000 each, which would have been 100,000 mana, instead of listing them for 100,000 mana, he might list them for 150,000 because he's like, oh well, they're more valuable because they're being sold as an estate. They're together as opposed to individual parcels. But I think the other side to that is that there's not going to be many people that have the mana to be able to spend 150,000. Or I mean, that's a pretty small or medium-sized estate. I'm talking about maybe something like this. That guy probably will list it for a couple million, right? Or this might sell for like, I don't know, 1,500,000 mana. So it might be worth. There might be like, just like how there was at the start of the marketplace, how people jumped in and listed it at wacky valuations. There might be a similar trend for this stuff, and so there might be space for people that price it fairly, but still put a bit of a margin on top. So, for example, like say this is selling for 1,000,000, say this is selling for like 200,000, this one's selling for like 500,000 or whatever, right? People are trying to get like as much as they can. If I sell my estate of 21 parcels, now I know that this location over here will probably sell for about 6,500 mana each, just because it's just so far. It's at the bottom end of it's they are near districts, but they're right at the edge, right? So maybe 6,500 to 7,000 mana each. But now as a set, I might sell them for like there's 21 parcels there. I might try and list them for 225,000 mana, which is I think that's like 10,000 mana each. So that's still quite a fair price. There is a little bit more premium on there because it's estate, but relative to the other estates, it might be cheaper. So one, I win because it's more than what I would have sold it individually, and two, I win because I know the other parcels are going to come. The other estates might come down because a lot of people, what they do is they're not going to sell. They hardly do sell for like really high valuations. But then like that's a risk I'm taking because I don't know. Maybe there is people that are waiting to jump in and buy really high priced estates. So what I'm going to do for my estates is look around and price them cheaper than everyone else because I want that sale. I want people to buy my estates so I can kind of invest that money somewhere else and flip again. So anyway, guys, it's just a very interesting concept right now. This, like I said, the only ability that they have released at the moment is to create the estate and transfer that estate. There isn't the ability to sell that estate. So just be careful if you do make a private deal. There's a lot of value being transferred. You don't know you might be selling like 300,000-400,000 worth of value of mana to someone. So they transfer you the money first, and then you transfer them, or you transfer it to them and they transfer it to you. Like because the smart contract isn't set up yet, it's a manual, risky process. So just be careful out there. Maybe use an escrow if you need to. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see the next week or two. I believe the ability to sell your estate is going to be released in a couple of weeks or a few weeks. That's what's been mentioned in the Discord. Eagerly waiting for that too. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out.